Thank you very much to all of our final panelists who truly did a remarkable job in a short amount of time to share their ongoing initiatives in sustainable development law. We wanted to close on solutions because often when you consider these challenges, they seem so immense. And it is that approach to solutions that all of you have so incredibly brilliantly embodied in your presentations, what you are indeed doing to actually change the world. I'd like to also thank Dr. Ashfaq Khalfan and, of course, Tejas Rao for their marvelous chairing of that panel. We really enjoyed hearing from all of you, and we strongly stand behind you in all of your efforts. I'm now delighted to introduce our final keynote before we move to our chairs. Professor Nandini has had to slip away, but we're very grateful that Professor Emanuela has stayed with us online to close for us. And in particular, of course, the Honorable Judge and Professor Marcel Szabó is not only a judge on the Constitutional Court of Hungary, but also a member of the Board of Governors of the CISDL, and of course, a winner of many awards. He previously served as Ombudsperson for future generations for the Human Rights Commission of his country. And when he joined the Constitutional Court, as we all know from the incredibly brilliant conference he hosted just recently with us in Budapest, his court was faced with a case of climate litigation. So he is a very fitting person as we turn toward implementation and the role we all have at the domestic level to ensure that this judgment of the advisory opinions and that this area of law develops and delivers. He is an excellent person to help to close this seminar and also, of course, beloved of us all. Marcel, thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening for everybody, and many thanks for your wonderful words, Marie-Claire. I think we are just seeing an incredible transition as regards international environmental law, and a very positive transition. And I have to say that it was an incredible task, and a task that has really contributed to the development of international environmental law, that there were enthusiastic professors who were transferring knowledge, which not only included what is international sustainable development law, but how it should look like. And I think this imaginative approach has contributed to the development of the world. Now, I think the world has achieved the moral conscience level when everybody, including judges, professors, realized that we must do much, much more in order to avoid the terrible catastrophe that our world could be confronted, should not be able to, if we are not able to really deal with the issues that are ahead of us. And I think the three advisory opinions gives us incredibly big hope. The advisory opinions of the International Tribunal on the Law of Sea, the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, and now the recent recent advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice, which was delivered by unanimous vote, is signaling that something has very dramatically and significantly changed or in the progress of change in our world. And it has to give us a lot of hope. I have to tell you that my personal feeling was that teaching international environmental law was, well, maybe with a little exaggeration, a little bit depressive subject, in a way describing all the time what should we aim, what should we achieve, and contrast to be given to the students that how far away from really big steps in public international law to achieve that. And I was old enough that I was participating already in some roles in the International Court of Justice decision about Gabčíkovo Nagymaros, a very well-known case, which we had to celebrate because it was something that gave some little grounding for stepping forward, but at the same time, as a Hungarian, I had to realize that it did not contribute too much to the solution of the concrete situation. And now I see that the decision of the advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice is delineating an incredible change in the approach what we can see globally. And I have to tell you that I have very concrete parallel experiences at the Hungarian Constitutional Court when we started to negotiate on our climate law case. Yes,
It's okay. We can hear you.
there
You're doing
was a
fine.
problem with the voice. I was a little bit afraid how the other judges are going to deal and what approach they are going to take in relation to intergenerational equity, for example. And I was not entirely optimistic. And I realized that regardless of the judge's background, and of course, it's even more so in the case of the International Court of Justice with judges coming from so many different backgrounds. If they manage to achieve a unanimous decision, the Hungarian court decision was not unanimous, but close to it, I think it is a very clear sign that a mental shift has been occurred, and or teaching sustainable development law is going to be more and more joyful in my hope, because I think there are going to be similar decisions following the footsteps of these wonderful courts on domestic level, maybe on the level of the highest courts. There are already excellent examples in Germany, France, Korea, Hungary. And I think more and more decisions will follow and will dramatically transform the whole landscape. And I think one of the issues which I regard especially important is the element of the relating to the customary international law component of the obligation of the states to protect present and future generations against the damages of the environment and climate change. And I'm happy to say that 1 month earlier, the Hungarian court also pronounced that this is an international customary law obligation. And of course, it doesn't mean too much on the global plane. And of course, it has to be the International Court of Justice that have to say that. But there are going to be many other courts that will highlight that there is concrete damages to be paid by one state to the other, and obligation to restore. And the international court's element highlighting the human rights component of climate change is also giving an incredibly big hope, which means, to sum it up, that it's going to be a nice, positive experience. It's an incredible hope. And I'm sure that the concept of intergenerational justice and trusteeship of natural resources that we are only guarding as trustees of future generations will prevail and will lead us to a better world very soon.
Thank you so much, Judge and Professor Marcel Szabó. I'm going to now call to close our event with our warmest of thanks to you and also to all of those who have spoken today. This is, of course, an ongoing conversation. And in response to the questions in the chat, the 2 points that I can make as we bring Dr. Ashfaq Kalfan and Professor Emanuela Ducis and Professor Damilola and Tejas onto the screen for the closing, along with the other speakers who are still with us. I'd like to just answer 2 questions from the chat. The first one, which has been asked by about 15 or 20 of you, is recommendations for syllabi teaching in the classroom. And I would say, actually, honestly, out of all of the books that are out there, it would be worthwhile, yes, to use the discount and ensure your library purchases Sustainable Development Law as a textbook. The other one to assign alongside, which is complementary, is of course Winfried Hook textbook, which Professor Nandini mentioned, and on which Dr. Maas was deeply pivotal. We usually assign them together, actually. They're complementary. And Professor Hook's book is the commentary on the SDGs. So that's on the teaching side. There were many questions that were being asked online as well from those who wanted to know about the Sustainable Development Governance and Law Association. And especially inspiring were the ones that were coming from countries that do not yet have a branch being formed, saying, how can we do so? Which was absolutely brilliant and exactly the kind of spirit we want to see. So we will send to all registrants, all 2,300 and something registrants for this event, an invitation to gather with others and form a branch, and if there is a branch being formed in your country, to join it. So with that, and with those two answers to the extremely practical but very good questions online, I'd like to turn to our colleagues who are here with us, still with us online, and especially Dr. Ashfaq Khalfan and Professor Emanuela Ducis, as well as Professor Marcus Gehring, to just give us a few words of closure. Ashfaq, as one of our chairs, what would you like to say to close?
I just want to really, I'm stunned at the level of questions that have come in. Apologies to those of you who posed them, and we haven't had a chance to answer all of them. But I hope that the resources that have been provided will answer some of these questions. And please remain engaged with us. And yeah, we'll answer your questions and engage further. And so thank you very much to all of you who participated.
Wonderful. And Marcus?
Yeah, all I can say is this is the start of a journey. Don't see the advisory opinion as the last point. See it as a turning point, as a starting point for a much more engaged international community. And engagement can also happen on social media. So follow the LinkedIn links, follow us. Dr. Khalfan, for example, is very active on Blue Sky, which is a microblogging platform, others too. So check us out and engage with us. That is my message.
Thank you. And I will be clear that Marcus has been run off his feet answering comments being required of the Professor of European and International Law of Cambridge University from all across Europe about how irrelevant this decision is. And he is fighting very hard in every single question to make it very clear that it is very relevant indeed, and the media's got the wrong end of the stick. So thank you, Marcus, for everything you, Ashfaq, and others here online and also in the audience are doing to ensure we do not lose this advisory opinion. I'm going to turn for our very last word on behalf of Professor Damilola, myself, and Tejas Rao to our governor and dearly beloved Professor Emanuela Ducis.
Well, first of all, I would like to warmly thank all of you, all the speakers, for their brilliant and thoughtful interventions. I learned a lot today. Three very brief points. Teaching and researching sustainable development law in turbulent times requires focusing on its crucial role in addressing global challenges while acknowledging the strain of the rule of law and multilateralism. And a second point that has been highlighted by many interveners is that networking across boundaries is crucial for success. And the walls separating different disciplines or even different legal areas are still high. But as long as we are confined to our own silos, we're unlikely to be successful. And this brings me to my last point. We need to find a common language of communication with other disciplines in order to better highlight the role of sustainable development the role of legal frameworks in achieving the SDGs, and show how progress on law, justice, and institutional reforms deliver on the SDGs targets. We have to communicate the achievements of the sustainable development law in a more comprehensive language to other disciplines and other areas of legal expertise. And let me add that it is also important to try to integrate courses related to sustainable development law in other disciplines, not only in social sciences, but also in medical schools, engineers, and physical science, give students and researchers the tools to better understand the role of law in sustainable transitions, its potential as well as its limits. And let me thank you again, all of you, but also all of you who have attended this session and contributed with your questions to a fantastic discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to everyone. I'm going to turn to our moderators to close the event. Muskan and Yushi.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you everyone for joining us for this event today. Thank you so much for joining us for Tensions, Tribunals, and Transformations, Teaching Sustainable Development Law in Turbulent Times. We now declare this event closed. Thank you.